Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. Enjoyed catching up with Jeff Shepard from Mississippi Power Company. They do such great work in the community. We're lucky to have their commitment to the community here. And anyway, it's good to catch up with Jeff. Now we're going to shift gears and move over to my friend Chef Nick Wallace. You may remember the last conversation we had. He was Food Network's Chop Champion. He's been on Fire Masters. He was a finalist and Bravo's Top Chef. I was really glad to see that he was Mississippi Small Business Person of the Year in 2023 for his work in culinary arts. He's opening up a new restaurant here in Ocean Springs soon. But before we do that, we'll kind of get an update on everything from Nick. But without any further ado, welcome back to the show, Nick.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, too. It's always a blast.
Hey, listen, so one of the things that, for people who have not heard us talk before, I think it's really great for you to remind people the role that the women in your life had on you and your understanding of food, not just as it tastes, because they make great food, but the social aspect of it and how that influenced you, and then your ascension into becoming literally a chef who owns your own restaurants now.
Yeah, so the women, that's been in my life, that they're still in my life, they pretty much gave me that key, to life. And I didn't understand it as a kid, of course, but they were so patient. They nurtured me. And I had no idea, even becoming a teenager and an adult, I had no idea that this woman was instilling so much into me. Like, she would put her hands over my hands when we're making biscuit dough because she wanted me to touch and see how it feels, because that's the method of slow food. She wanted me not to be scared to go out there in the land and grab wild berries. It was one of those things that was so nurturing. So now, what she instilled in me, I take it out in the world. I try to affect people with change. But also, if I cook for you, I just want it to be, that you never tasted something like that before. But all that is because of the women that's been in my life.
Yeah, that's so cool. Listen, as you tell that story, I'm reminded, my grandmother, my mother's mother, we called her Nanny. Her name was Eloise Maddox. And she grew up in Sylacauga, Alabama. And then later in my life, they lived in Chillisburg, Alabama. But then eventually they moved down to the coast to be closer to my mother. But she loved to cook poke salad. She came from a world where going out into the woods and picking stuff was the big thing. And I remember walking with her once, and she said, "Oh gosh, look, there's some poke salad, and we picked it. No, see that right there? That's not poke salad. Kind of looks like poke salad, but you don't want to eat that. That'll kill you." Yeah. But it was just interesting walking through the woods with her, and the way she lived during a really difficult time, and from an economic point of view, I mean, she remembers, the Great Depression and all that, and that's how they survived, Nick. And they learned not only to survive, but to do it in a way that was delicious. But that's a common story you hear, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love to hear other people's story too. One of my grandmother's name is Nana, and her name is Queen Mars. And even when you say that, it's so much respect. But the one thing I was going to say is, all those stories you have about walking through, the woods or the backyard and that kind of stuff. We didn't have phones back then. So you didn't have nothing that you was going to take a picture to say, hey, this is danger. You can't go this way. Now, this is what it is. It's pretty impressive how all of our senses get to working, so that next time we're going to make sure that I'm not laying in a hospital because I'm not eating this wrong thing. It was pretty powerful, and think about the women, think about us back then. We didn't have pictures, we didn't be able to phone a friend. A lot of those things we didn't have. We was kind of on our own. So I think it developed, the development of it was a lot more enriched. I would say that.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. And I tell you, there's a lot less processed food back in those days. So even though we might have had a lot of fat in it or a lot of carbs or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
It was healthy food because it was real food. It was whole food, and there's something to be said for that. That is for sure. So where are you sitting right now, Nick?
So right now I'm in my very lovely. I love this kitchen. This is my ghost kitchen. It's located in Midtown of Jackson, and right outside the door we have a space for farming, and the building that kind of right across from my kitchen. It's going to be preserved workforce. So getting in business, one of the scariest things is thinking about your next 5 to 10 years, and we're looking at the workforce, how we can impact this community, but also any community that's around. And that's the one thing that I'm looking forward to, possibly teaming up with some of these other awesome chefs and restaurateurs out on the coast, just so we can do the same thing there. So I just want to be able to come in and make a mark. And it's so many talented people on the coast. I don't know. It just seems like everybody is a lot more happier. I don't know. Maybe because you're close to the water until it storms, I guess.
That is just good for the soul. I can tell you that, Nick, and you will soon see that yourself as you open up your restaurant in Ocean Springs. But hey, listen, I'm looking behind you, and for people who are listening on the radio, they can't see this. So what I'm looking at, I see a lot of stainless steel. I see a really well organized kitchen. And it could be right out of Top Chef. I mean, it's just a terrifically well laid out place, and that's actually important to someone like you who wants to exceed people's expectations, isn't it?
Yes. So one of my philosophies is stay transparent. Any place that I'm gonna be able to have ownership in accountability, I want people to be able to walk in. I want people to be able to see behind the doors. I just think that matters. We possibly have one of the best kitchens in the state of Mississippi right here. We can pump out some food. When we did the Jackson Food and Wine Festival that had all my friends from Top Chef, they all cooked in this kitchen. It's just such a great thing because this is something that every chef needs and wants, is a commissary kitchen that they can come here and play with food. I don't care if it's making cheese or curing meats, or, we could do a lot of overnight smoking here and a lot of overnight cooking. But this has just been a gem. This is where I got my first start about 8 years ago. Midtown gave me an opportunity. I didn't want to run from that opportunity because of the TV. I want to stay here because the community loves me and I love them back.
I bet. Listen, Nick, you have a great personality. You represent sort of what people want to get back to in food, and that is understanding the roots of food and understanding the role that food plays in us coming together. I bet you got some great opportunities to leave.
Yes.
And you said no.
No, I do.
Yeah. So listen, I had the opportunity to have Julian Rankin on, who most people know who are regular listeners, the executive director for the Walter Anderson Museum of Art. He spent some time in Jackson along the way. He and Nick met each other, and they've been sort of collaborating around this idea of this restaurant that's going to be in the vicinity, in fact, the same block as the Walter Anderson Museum. What's happening there, incidentally, with the new hotel in the spring that Joe Cloyd developed, and the incredible focus of that museum to not only be one of the best of its kind, but then the role that the museum, through people like Julian Rankin, play in helping build better communities. I mean, this guy is literally living that mission, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Julian is such a creative genius, is what I call him. And I just love his energy, and I think that was one of the things that hit us off many, many years ago. I worked well with him. And, you always got to find somebody that can offset your weakness. And Julian does that for me. He pushes me to go do my thing, but hey, Nick, I got this. So we just create a lot of magic together. And seeing Julian in Ocean Springs, he's honestly in heaven. The guy, you could tell the way he walks, the way he talks, everybody knows him. He is just super happy. So I'm honored to be teaming up with him, bringing Hen and Egg at the Traveler right next to the Walter Anderson Museum, because we're going to bring breakfast, we're going to bring lunch, we're going to bring dinner, we're going to have pop-ups. We're going to have outdoor events. We're going to have so much fun there, so much.
So it's interesting. You know, one of the things that I pointed out, and we'll come back to the Springs Hotel, but it's just an example of many like it that Joe and his wife Jessica have been involved in, and that is, I call it kind of an archaeological dig. So they go into a home that was for other purposes. In this case, an old home that was used, I think, as a lawyer's office. They buy it, and then they could just tear it down, but they choose not to do that. They want to sort of keep the elements of that house that's such a good fit with Ocean Springs, and then make it be something special. In this case, a boutique hotel that is unique in Ocean Springs. And then the same thing for the new restaurant. And what we'll do when we come back on the other side, we'll talk about what you're doing in this old house to sort of bring it back and create something special for Ocean Springs. We'll see you with Chef Nick Wallace after we come back from break. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank studio. I have my friend Chef Nick Wallace, someone who inspires me. I can't wait to go to his new restaurant and try some of his wonderful cooking. I mean, obviously, if you win Food Network's Chop Champion, you know a little bit about how to be creative, and he's known for being extraordinarily creative. And to be teamed up with someone like Julian Rankin, who, you know, listen, when I talk about Julian, and I came from media, Nick. I was around Pulitzer Prize winning writers. I mean, I had some of the best writers around me throughout my career that people would envy having the opportunity to work with. But Julian is a wordsmith. Julian, his ability to describe stuff, to be able to help us understand why a museum like Walter Anderson is so important. The way he talks about the connection between our lives and the landscape and so on. He's just a master at it. Mm-hmm. And there's no doubt in my mind that this concept that you're developing there is going to be very, very, very successful. First of all, let's start with the name. How did you come up with that name?
So Hen and Egg, originally, the hen was actually dedicated for my grandmother, Miss Linnell. And the egg, of course, was me. And, you know, I always fight about this slow food being in a position to be qualified as like fast food in a way. It's not really generalized that you have a drive-through that's a mile long with people waiting for their food. That's not the idea, but just really serving good quality, quick food that you can get, especially when you're in a hurry. Breakfast and lunch, you got to turn it over really quick. But you're going to be quite surprised when you get the love that you're going to get in some of these crafted ways. Now, we're going to put a fast food touch of that you've never seen before. We're going to serve we're going to have a blue plate special every day, but it's going to be served in a box. But the bottom of it is going to be a blue plate. So we're just going to be very creative on how we do things. We're going to have a lot of beer broths with a lot of seafood there. We're going to have a lot of braised vegetables. We're going to have pickle elements to it. The preservation is something that's super important to me. So we're going to bring that. And we're going to make a lot of our whipped butters from scratch, too. So we'll be churning butter and making our butter there in that small kitchen. I just want to be able to show the coast some respect. You know, I am not going to come onto the coast and half it any kind of way. You deserve the best. You're really connected to the water, just like here I'm connected to the land. It's just it's different, but we're just focused on these waterways, and I just think it's going to be great. And I think every single person is going to be super happy about this landmark.
So tell us where it is and what you're doing specifically with the building.
So right now we're in that construction phase, and it's right next to the Walter Anderson Museum, right across from the Springs Hotel, right there on that corner. It's a huge blue house, one floor. You're going to see wraparound decks on it. We are going to have like a bike lane, so we're going to really focus on the bike community there. So you could just drive up, grab you a coffee or a homemade biscuit or any of those things. So right now we're designing it so we can really feature a lot of Walter Anderson's powerful messaging inside of the Traveler, but you'll be able to come in and rest your feet up and get a nice espresso or coffee. or you can entertain yourself at our bar. Now, right in the center of the house is going to be where the action is. You're going to be able to see an open kitchen, and you're going to be able to see the culinarians like really, really get down. We're going to keep a very clean kitchen there. We're going to have a bunch of positive food that's going to have like such a huge impact. And right now, we're scheduled to hopefully be done with the construction around September or so. Everybody knows that all kinds of things happen. So at some point in the fall, just be ready for hen and egg. But I also want to say this. May the 31st, I'm doing a hen and egg pop-up at the Gulf Hills Resort in Ocean Springs. It's going to be from 5 until. We're going to set up a makeshift kitchen. You're going to come in and be able to order some celebrated dishes from hen and egg, and we're going to have fun. And it's poolside as well.
Oh, that's going to be neat. Look, boy, I love what they have done with Gulf Hills, and what a vision, what a huge investment. But it's created what's going to be known as one of the real incredible resorts here in coastal Mississippi, bringing back all that history and all that. Yeah. Just really neat. That is, you said May the 31st. Is that what you said?
May the 31st from 5 p.m. until.
Yeah, well, that's neat. What a great way to get people used to hearing the name Hen and Egg and Chef Nick Wallace, and to start to create a bit of a buzz around what you're planning to accomplish in downtown Ocean Springs. But Nick, it's awesome to be able to catch up with you and see what all you're involved in. And I know it's a nerve-wracking time because you got a lot of money going into construction and all the stuff that goes with that. You're looking forward to getting open, but it's a process. You've done it before. You know how to do it. I love the open idea, the open kitchen. You know, this note that you mentioned about being transparent. People will be able to see that. That'll be part of the draw, that people can see that. It's kind of part of the show, so to speak. So anyway, it's been great to touch base with you. I hope you continue success in getting that restaurant open. I can't wait to enjoy some of your food.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You bet. This has been Chef Nick Wallace, and someone I really look forward to staying in touch with. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.